Yo, what is going on, you beautiful face? If you're new to this channel, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about one way on how to persuade someone or convince someone to do something you want them to do. So let's get started in 3, 2, and 1. By the way, my name is Joey Rich, so if you're new to this channel, welcome to Team Live Rich. And in today's video, again, I'm gonna go over how to persuade somebody and convince somebody with one simple tactic and one simple way. By the way, this is inspired from this book, Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. I'm gonna summarize chapter 2, which is called The Privileged Moment, which is gonna go over today's lesson. So if you guys want more in deep detail about how to persuade people, I recommend getting this book. So this is gonna get really fun. So before we begin, let's go over what a master persuader would do versus an average person that wants to convince somebody. So an example, right? Let's say you are somebody who needs to get surveys from people at the mall, or you're somebody that sees people who has those clipboards, you know who they are, and they're like, hey, are you interested in taking a survey? Hey, would you be willing to take a survey? Hey, so that is the average person, what they would do when they would try to convince somebody. It's not very effective. Whereas a master persuader, the first thing they would do first is what's called ask a chute question, which is an easier way of going about it, is they would ask a leading question that will put them in a state that will make them vulnerable to wanting to accept the request. So it's very easy once I put an example. So as an average person who tries to convince people, like taking a survey, they would just ask, hey, are you interested in taking a survey? Whereas a master persuader, this is what they would do. It's gnarly. So let's say you're walking to me right now and I have a clipboard. Instead of me saying, hey, are you interested in taking a survey? I would say, hey, sir, would you consider yourself a helpful person? Oh, yeah? And the thing is, what's the favorite subject of every human being? It's themselves. I'm gonna say that again. What's the favorite subject of every human being? It's themselves. They love to talk about themselves, and people love to boast about themselves, and people's ego loves to get rubbed the right way. Let's just say that. So instead of me saying, hey, aren't you interested in this survey? I would say, hey, would you consider yourself a helpful person? Obviously, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm a helpful person. So my follow-up question would be then, would you be a helpful person and help me out with this survey that will cover X, Y, and Z, because it will really help out blah, 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 blah. In the studies in the book, I'm paraphrasing, right? It's not the exact numbers. It would take an average, so 11 people out of 100 would say yes to a survey, doing the regular, like, hey, aren't you interested in a survey, excuse me. Whereas the person on the left side, a master persuader, it was 77 people that would say yes out of 100. So would you rather be in the group of 11% or would you rather be in the group of the 70%, right? And what I just did right there is I just literally did what I just taught you, which is I led you up into being a conclusion I wanted you to think. So the lesson here is before you want to request or convince somebody to do a certain thing, you want to put them in a state where they're actually going to be doing it. So you better watch out. People who are in cults, they study people in cults, how they recruit them, how they brainwash them. This is what they do. They ask you questions like, hey, are you unhappy about your situation right now with your faith and your religion? And if you're a vulnerable person, you'll just be like, yeah, I am unhappy, right? And you gotta be very, very, very cautious when people ask you questions like that, because a question like that, your brain is gonna start automatically thinking about why you are unhappy. Right? So there is a book, Never Split the Difference, great book, FBI agent going over how to mirror somebody, create empathy, and get the information you need. So for example, if someone were to call me and I'm like, hey, what inspired you to call me? A lot of the reasons of why they're inspired to call me, they'll put them in a great state and they'll be like, oh, I was inspired to call you because this. I was inspired to call you because that. I was inspired to call you for this. So back to my point as far as cult people, how they recruit you. So be careful when you hear people asking you stuff like this, because it's intentional. If they ask like, hey, are you unhappy with your current faith and current religion? Your brain is going to start processing why you are unhappy, and you're going to start saying reasons. And then the follow-up question would be, well, if you're unhappy about your religion and you're unhappy about your faith, wouldn't you want to change that? Yeah, I actually would like to change that. Right now they're in the state of accepting your request. Hey, so my church actually welcomes people like you who's been confused, who doesn't know really where they're at, and I'd love to bring you to it. Want to come along, right? Something like that. And because you're in this state and you verbally said it yourself that you're struggling and you do want change, you're more likely going to do it. So this could be used for a good thing and a bad thing. I suggest, guys, you use this for ethical reasons, like getting a job you want, getting your spouse or partner to start eating healthier. Like, it's easy. So let's say you want to start eating healthier and your spouse, you know, you need her support. So it's just like, hey babe, like, would you say you're a supportive person? Of course they're gonna say yes, right? Of course they're gonna freaking say yes to you. And then you're gonna be like, yeah, babe, of course I'm gonna support it. Well, can you really support me towards my fitness goals by making sure that we don't buy junk food anymore, or we don't eat out? Because this means a lot to me and I really wanna get in shape. And the fact that you said you're a supportive person means a lot to me. So can you support me that way? And then next you know, yeah, right? So be creative with it, think on your own. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on one way to convince or persuade somebody. You wanna ask a leading question, and then you wanna put them in a state where they're vulnerable to accept your request, and then you ask your request, and then you get the deal done. So go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and subscribe to YouTube channel. Tell me what you think. Questions down below. What topics you want me to cover next. But other than that, guys, welcome to Team Live Rich, and my job is to make you live rich, and I hope I did that today. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.